At my sister's lavish wedding, my mother slapped me in front of 200 guests because I refused to hand over my hard-earned penthouse. Her words, "This is for family," were a lie that shattered my heart. Have you ever been betrayed by those you loved most? Stay with me to see how I turned their deceit into my triumph. Before starting this story, if you are listening from USA, please leave a comment with number 9. And if you are from another country, please leave the name of your lovely country. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to listen to more stories. It was the evening of Saturday, the 15th of April, 2024, when I stepped into the Sterling Grand Hotel in Chicago. The grand ballroom shimmered under golden chandeliers, their light dancing across white orchids that lined the tables. Waiters in crisp black vests glided through the crowd, offering flutes of champagne to guests draped in silk and diamonds. My sister, Clara Whitestone, was the vision of perfection in her ivory lace gown, her laughter echoing as friends and relatives called her radiant, flawless, a princess. I stood apart, my navy dress simple, my presence quiet, as always. I'd never been the one they toasted to, but the one who paid for the wine. The air was thick with celebration, yet a hollow ache pulsed in my chest. I'd funded half this wedding deposits for the venue, loans for Clara's education, yet my name was absent from the speeches. I was the shadow, useful but unseen. Across the room, my parents, Kennedy and Harold Marwood, watched me. Kennedy's smile was too tight, her eyes calculating. Harold offered a curt nod, cold as a stranger's. My fingers tightened around my glass of sparkling water, the chill grounding me. I forced a polite smile, but no warmth passed between us. This wasn't new. I'd always been the daughter they leaned on, never the one they loved. As I lingered near the edge of the crowd, the soft hum of jazz cloaking my solitude, Kennedy approached. Her silver gown caught the light, a beacon of her carefully crafted charm. "Amelia, darling," she said, her voice honeyed, "we need a moment. Just a family matter." Her hand grazed my arm, guiding me toward the terrace overlooking the Chicago River. The city's lights glittered below, indifferent to the storm brewing in my heart. I followed, my heels clicking softly, my instincts whispering that this was no casual chat. Harold joined us, his face unreadable, his silence a weight I knew too well. The terrace was quiet, save for the distant murmur of the party. Kennedy's smile didn't reach her eyes as she began to speak, her words a blade cloaked in velvet. The terrace of the Sterling Grand Hotel was a stage set for betrayal, the Chicago River glittering below like a mirror to my fractured heart. My mother, Kennedy, stood before me, her silver gown shimmering under the terrace lights, her smile a practiced mask. My father, Harold, lingered at her side, his silence louder than any words. The jazz from the ballroom faded, leaving only the hum of my own pulse. I braced myself, knowing this was no family heart-to-heart. Kennedy's voice, syrupy and sharp, cut through the night. "Amelia, darling, Clara's wedding is a new beginning for us all. Don't you want to give her the perfect start?" Her words hung heavy, a prelude to a demand I'd heard too many times. For years, I'd been the Marwood family's silent pillar. I'd paid for Clara's college tuition when Harold's business faltered, wired deposits for this very wedding when Kennedy's savings ran dry. I'd driven across state lines to pick Clara up from late-night parties, my own plans discarded. Yet, at every holiday, every toast, my name was a whisper, my sacrifices a footnote. Clara was the star, her beauty and charm the family's pride. I was the steady one, the one they leaned on but never lifted up. My chest tightened, a familiar ache of being needed but never seen. Kennedy's eyes gleamed with expectation. "Your apartment at the Pinnacle Tower," she said. "It's far too grand for one person. Clara and Nathan deserve a home like that to build their future. It's only right." My breath caught, not from surprise but from the audacity. The Pinnacle Tower, my sanctuary, was bought with my own earnings. Every mortgage payment a testament to my independence. I'd earned it through sleepless nights at the firm, while Clara flitted through life, her every whim indulged. "You're asking me to give up my home," I said, my voice steady despite the rage simmering beneath. Kennedy's smile faltered, her tone icing over. "Don't be selfish. Amelia, this is for your sister." Harold shifted, his gaze fixed on the river, offering no support. I met her eyes, unflinching. "No," I said, "that apartment is mine." The word no shattered her facade. Her hand flew up, striking my cheek with a force that echoed in the still night. The sting was sharp, but the betrayal cut deeper. Guests near the terrace doors froze, their murmurs halting. Clara, radiant in her gown, turned away, her lips curling in a faint smirk. Nathan, her groom, averted his eyes. No one spoke, no one moved. My father muttered, "This isn't about you. Amelia," his voice a dull blade. I straightened, my cheek burning, my heart a furnace of fury. How dare they demand my life's work, then punish me for daring to claim it? I forced a smile, not of surrender, but of defiance, and walked back through the ballroom. My heels clicked like a countdown, each step a vow that I would not break. The weight of their eyes followed me, but I held my head high, the fire in my chest blazing brighter than their scorn. The drive back to my apartment at the Pinnacle Tower was a blur, the Chicago skyline a mosaic of lights that failed to soothe the storm within me. It was late, past midnight on Sunday, the 16th of April, 2024. My cheek still throbbed where Kennedy's hand had landed, but the deeper wound was the betrayal, raw and pulsing. I stepped into my home, the silence wrapping around me like a heavy cloak. The city's glow filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows, casting shadows across the hardwood. I kicked off my heels, the navy dress clinging to my skin, and sank onto the sofa, my heart a battlefield of rage and sorrow. Memories flooded in, unbidden and merciless. I was 12, waiting on the porch of our Elmwood Lane home, hoping Kennedy would ask about my day. She never did, her attention always on Clara's ballet recitals or Harold's business deals. At 16, I missed my birthday to drive Clara to a pageant, her laughter filling the car while my heart ached in silence. I'd poured my savings into Clara's college fund, worked overtime to cover her whims. Yet at every family gathering, I was the afterthought, my sacrifices invisible. The injustice burned, a fire stoked by years of being their anchor while they sailed on without me. I rose, my bare feet cold against the floor, and drifted to my study. My fingers trembled as I opened a drawer, revealing a cream-colored scarf, soft and embroidered, a gift from my grandmother, Lillian. Beside it lay an envelope, her elegant handwriting spelling my name. I lifted it, the weight of her love grounding me. Inside was her letter, penned 2 years before her passing, and a notarized will. Amelia. It read, "You've given more than they deserved. This apartment, this account, they're yours. Let no one take what you've earned. The Pinnacle Tower, my refuge, was her legacy to me, a shield against their greed. The account, hidden for years, was her quiet rebellion against their demands." My chest tightened, rage surging at the thought of Kennedy and Clara coveting what Lillian had safeguarded for me. How dare they assume I'd yield? As I always had, Lillian saw me, truly saw me when they never did. Her words were a lifeline, pulling me from despair to defiance. I clutched the scarf, its threads a whisper of her strength. I wouldn't let them tarnish her gift. By dawn, my resolve was ironclad. I reached for my phone and dialed Evelyn Harper, my grandmother's trusted lawyer. Her voice, crisp despite the early hour, answered, "Amelia." "What's happened?" I exhaled, my voice steady. "I need to protect what's mine." The city stirred beyond my windows, indifferent to my awakening. I stood, the scarf draped over my shoulders, ready to fight for the life I'd built, the life Lillian believed I deserved. 3 days after the wedding, on Wednesday, the 19th of April, 2024, I sat at my dining table in the Pinnacle Tower, the Chicago skyline a restless shimmer beyond my windows. The sting of Kennedy's slap had faded, but Lillian's letter fueled my resolve. My laptop hummed softly, emails piling up from work, when a notification from the building's HOA pierced the quiet. Resident update request. It read. My pulse quickened as I opened it. Clara Whitestone, my sister, had submitted a form to add her name to my apartment's access list, claiming she was moving in. The audacity sent a surge of rage through me, my fingers trembling over the keyboard. How dare she, Clara, who'd never paid a dime for this home, who danced through life while I toiled, now sought to claim what was mine. I logged into the building's security portal, my heart pounding. The access logs revealed a key fob duplicate used at the side entrance 2 days prior. On Monday, a memory flickered 5 years ago. Clara, tear-streaked after a breakup, staying in my guest room. I made a spare key, she'd said casually. Just in case. I'd trusted her then. A fool's mistake. Now, she'd used it to breach my sanctuary. Her betrayal a blade twisted deeper than Kennedy's hand. Driven by fury, I opened my phone and scrolled through Clara's social media, her profile a curated shrine to her charm. There it was, posted yesterday, a photo of the Pinnacle Tower's lobby, marble columns gleaming, captioned, "Our new home awaits." The smugness of her words ignited a fire in my chest. She hadn't just schemed in secret, she'd flaunted it, assuming I'd crumble as I always had. My jaw clenched, the injustice of her entitlement searing my soul. This was no mere overstep, it was theft, cloaked in her radiant smile. I acted swiftly, my anger honed into precision. I screenshotted her post, downloaded the access logs, and photographed the HOA email. Each click was a step toward reclaiming my power. I composed an email to Evelyn Harper, my grandmother's lawyer, attaching the evidence. Clara's trying to take my apartment. I wrote, my words sharp but controlled. I need your guidance. Sending it. I felt a flicker of triumph, but the rage lingered, a storm I refused to let consume me. Clara thought she could outmaneuver me, but she'd underestimated the woman I'd become. I stood, pacing the hardwood floor, the city's lights a silent witness to my awakening. Lillian's scarf lay folded on the table, a reminder of her faith in me. I wouldn't let Clara's deceit unravel what I'd built. As the email confirmation chimed, I knew this was only the beginning. Clara's move was bold, but mine would be bolder, a reckoning she couldn't foresee. A week after Clara's audacious scheme, on Wednesday, the 26th of April, 2024, I stood in the lobby of the Pinnacle Tower, the marble floor cold beneath my flats. The Chicago skyline loomed through the glass, a silent judge to the whispers swirling around me. My email to Evelyn Harper had set my defense in motion, but Clara's poison had spread faster. Neighbors I'd once nodded to in passing now cast sidelong glances, their murmurs laced with doubt. She's hoarding that apartment. I overheard Mrs. Langley hiss to another resident. It should be Clara's. The words ignited a fury in my chest, a wildfire fanned by their blind allegiance to my sister's lies. Clara's rumors painted me as the villain, a selfish spinster clutching a home meant for her perfect future. The HOA bulletin board bristled with complaints, noise violations, unauthorized deliveries, all pinned to my name, all false. Each accusation was a dagger, carving at the life I'd built. My hands clenched, nails biting into my palms. How could strangers, swayed by Clara's charm, turn on me so easily? The injustice seared, but a deeper wound came at noon. When Sophie, my friend of 15 years, called, her voice, usually warm, was hesitant. "Amelia, we need to talk." We met at a cafe across from the Pinnacle, its windows fogged with spring rain. Sophie's eyes darted, avoiding mine. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she began, twisting her napkin. My stomach knotted. "What did you do?" I asked, my voice low but sharp. She confessed, her words a slow poison. She'd shared details about my apartment security codes, delivery schedules with Clara, believing it was harmless family business. "Clara said you'd agreed to let her move in." Sophie stammered. Rage surged, a tidal wave crashing through my restraint. "You trusted her over me," I snapped, my heart fracturing under her betrayal. Sophie's apology rang hollow, her excuses a flimsy shield. She'd been my confidant through heartbreak, my ally when Kennedy's demands suffocated me. Now, she'd handed Clara the keys to my destruction. I stood, the chair scraping harshly, and left without a word, the rain soaking my coat as I crossed back to the Pinnacle, alone in my apartment. I fortified my defenses. I called the building manager, ordering new locks and biometric cameras, my voice steady despite the storm within. I emailed Evelyn, updating her on the rumors and Sophie's treachery, my fingers trembling with each keystroke. The city's lights flickered beyond my windows, a reminder of the world's indifference. Lillian's scarf lay across my desk, its threads a tether to my resolve. Clara's lies and Sophie's betrayal had isolated me, but they'd also sharpened my purpose. I wouldn't falter. The battle for my home, my dignity, was mine to win, and I was ready to fight with every ounce of my being. 10 days after Clara's deceitful maneuver, on Saturday, the 5th of May, 2024, I sat in my office nook at the Pinnacle Tower, the Chicago skyline a steadfast backdrop to my resolve. The whispers of neighbors and Sophie's betrayal had hardened my heart, but Evelyn Harper's response to my evidence fueled my fight. She'd drafted a cease and desist letter, sent to Clara 3 days prior, demanding she halt her claims to my home. My new locks and cameras stood as silent sentinels. But a new threat emerged. An envelope from my uncle, Victor Whitestone, arrived yesterday, containing a forged will. It audaciously named Clara the sole heir to my apartment, its ink a mockery of Lillian's legacy. Rage coursed through me, a tempest I channeled into strategy. Victor's forgery was a desperate gambit. His real estate empire's greed laid bare. How dare he tarnish Lillian's wishes with such a blatant lie? I scanned the document, my pulse thundering, and forwarded it to Evelyn. Her reply was swift. "This won't stand. Prepare for the HOA meeting tomorrow." The meeting, set for Sunday at the Pinnacle's community room, was my battlefield. I compiled my arsenal, Lillian's original will, notarized and pristine, access logs showing Clara's unauthorized entry, screenshots of her smug social media post. Each piece was a brick in the fortress of my truth. Sunday dawned gray, the city cloaked in mist. I entered the community room, my navy blazer crisp, Lillian's scarf tucked in my bag like a talisman. Neighbors filled the folding chairs, their eyes wary Mrs. Langley's scowl, Mr. Patel's hesitant nod. Clara sat front row, her poise a polished veneer, her lips curled in confidence. The HOA president, Mr. Carver, opened the meeting, his voice neutral. "We're here to address concerns regarding Unit 1201. I stood, my folder heavy in my hands, and began. "I'm not here to argue," I said, my tone steady despite the fury simmering within. "I'm here with facts." I projected my evidence onto the screen, each slide a surgical strike. The will, Lillian's handwriting unmistakable, dated 6 months before her passing. The logs, time-stamped, exposing Clara's trespass. Her post, captioned "Our new home," a brazen declaration of theft. The room grew still, Clara's composure cracking as neighbors shifted uncomfortably. "This forgery," I said, holding Victor's document, "is an insult to my grandmother's memory." My voice trembled, not with fear, but with righteous anger. "I've earned this home. You don't get to rewrite my life." Clara rose, her chair scraping, her face flushed. "This is absurd," she stammered, but her words faltered under the weight of truth. She fled, the door slamming behind her. Mr. Carver cleared his throat. "The matter is closed. Ms. Marwood, we apologize." Neighbors murmured, some averting their eyes, others offering nods of respect. I exhaled, the fire in my chest easing, replaced by a quiet triumph. Lillian's legacy was safe, and Clara's scheme lay in ruins. I left the room, my steps firm, the city's mist parting before me, a warrior unbowed. 2 weeks after my triumph at the HOA meeting, on Sunday, the 19th of May, 2024, I stood at the threshold of my Aunt Vivian's home in Chicago's suburbs. The victory over Clara's scheme had steadied my resolve, but a new revelation burned within me. Late last night, my cousin Lila Thornton emailed me an audio file, her message terse, "You deserve to hear this." The recording captured Kennedy, Clara, and Vivian plotting to guilt me into surrendering the Pinnacle Tower apartment, their laughter a cruel echo of my lifelong exclusion. Rage surged, a molten core of fury at their callous betrayal. I clutched Lillian's scarf in my bag, its presence a shield as I entered the lion's den. Vivian's dining room buzzed with relatives, the clink of glasses and chatter masking their duplicity. Kennedy greeted me with a theatrical embrace, her smile a brittle facade. "Amelia, so glad you came," she cooed, as if her slap had never landed. I nodded, my heart a fortress, and took a seat at the long oak table, the air thick with unspoken expectations. Clara was absent, her absence a calculated retreat, but her shadow loomed in their eyes. I waited, letting their small talk drone, until the moment felt ripe. My hand rested on my phone, the audio file a weapon honed by their own words. I stood, my voice cutting through the noise. "I have something to share," I said, calm but unyielding. I tapped play, and their voices filled the room. Kennedy's scheme to make Amelia feel she's ruining the wedding, Clara's sneer that I'd fold under pressure, Vivian's chuckle at my supposed weakness. The laughter stopped. Forks froze mid-air. My cousin Rachel's eyes widened, her husband shifting uncomfortably. Uncle Leonard, who'd once called me ungrateful, stared at the table. Kennedy's face drained of color, her lips parting in a silent gasp. The truth, raw and undeniable, stripped their masks bare. Kennedy stammered, "Amelia, you misunderstand. We were stressed, planning Clara's future." Her voice cracked, a plea to the room's dwindling sympathy. I met her gaze, my fury tempered by clarity. "No, Mother, you planned to steal what's mine." My words, sharp as a blade, silenced her. Rachel rose, shaking her head, and left with her husband. Leonard cleared his throat, his voice low. "I misjudged you. Amelia, I'm sorry." I held his gaze, offering no absolution. I turned, my heels clicking on the hardwood, and walked out, the door closing with a soft thud that echoed my freedom. Outside, the suburban dusk wrapped around me, cool and quiet. I didn't need their apologies. The fire of their betrayal had forged me anew. Lillian's scarf brushed my shoulder, a whisper of her pride. I'd exposed their deceit, not for vengeance, but for truth. The question lingered, would they change? I doubted it, but it no longer mattered. My path was mine alone, and I was ready to walk it unburdened. 5 days after exposing my family's deceit, on Friday, the 24th of May, 2024, I stood in my apartment at the Pinnacle Tower, the Chicago skyline, a quiet witness to my resolve. The silence following the family gathering had been deafening, but a knock at my door shattered it. Nathan Caldwell, Clara's husband, stood there, his tailored suit rumpled, his eyes hollow. "Amelia, I need to talk," he said, clutching a folder. My heart hardened, but I let him in, the air thick with unspoken tension. He sat across from me, the folder trembling in his hands. and began. I didn't know the full extent of their plan, he claimed, sliding the folder toward me. Inside were printed text messages, Kennedy urging Clara to pressure me, Clara boasting she'd break me. My blood boiled, the betrayal a fresh wound. But Nathan's next words cut deeper. I signed a form supporting their claim to your apartment, he admitted, his voice cracking. They promised me a stake in Victor's firm if I helped. Rage surged, a wildfire I barely contained. Nathan, whom I'd welcomed at the wedding, had bartered my home for his ambition. You thought you could profit from my pain, I asked, my voice low, each word a shard of ice. He flinched, stammering apologies, but they rang hollow. A coward's plea. I'm trying to make it right, he said, offering to testify against Clara. I stared, my fury tempered by disgust. His regret was not for me, but for his own miscalculation. I dismissed him, the door closing with a finality that echoed my resolve. Alone. My phone buzzed with a voicemail from Kennedy. Her voice, soft and pleading, drifted through. Amelia, let's end this. Come home. We're family. The word family ignited a bitter laugh. Her manipulation, cloaked in maternal warmth, was a trap I'd long outgrown. I deleted it, the act a severance of chains. I drove to Elmwood Lane, the neighborhood of my childhood, its quiet streets a canvas of memories. The house where I'd waited for Kennedy's approval stood unchanged, its white shutters mocking my past hopes. I parked, the engine idling, and pulled Lillian's letter from my bag. You were never broken, she wrote, her words a balm to my scarred heart. Tears pricked my eyes, not of sorrow, but of clarity. I'd spent years chasing their love, sacrificing my dreams for their demands. No more. The rage that once consumed me now fueled my freedom. I returned to the pinnacle, the city's lights a constellation of possibilities. Lillian's scarf lay across my chair, a symbol of her unwavering belief in me. I'd chosen truth over their lies, solitude over their shackles. Would they ever change? The question lingered, but it no longer held power. My life was mine, forged in fire, and I would not look back. On Sunday, the 26th of May, 2024, I stood at Ravens Point, a wind-swept hill overlooking Chicago's sprawling tapestry of steel and glass. The city shimmered below, its pulse a distant hum against the quiet of my heart. Days had passed since I severed ties with Kennedy's hollow pleas and Nathan's tainted remorse, their betrayals now embers cooling in my past. Lillian's scarf, soft and embroidered, rested in my hands, its threads a testament to her enduring love. The journey that began with a slap at Clara's wedding had forged me anew, and here, at this precipice, I found my truth. I'd spent years tethered to their expectations, my sacrifices a currency they spent without gratitude. Clara's greed, Kennedy's cruelty, Nathan's opportunism each had sought to strip me of what I'd earned. Yet, with every battle, from the HOA's vindication to the family's stunned silence, I reclaimed my voice. The rage that once consumed me had transformed into resolve, a beacon guiding me to this moment. I didn't destroy them. I chose to rise above their grasp. My silence not surrender, but sovereignty. Lillian's words echoed in my soul. You were never broken. She'd seen my strength when I doubted it. Her legacy, my foundation. The wind tugged at my hair, carrying away the weight of their lies. I gazed at the horizon, where the Chicago River met the sky, and felt a peace I'd never known. Freedom wasn't loud or vengeful. It was this quiet certainty, the knowledge that I'd fought for myself and won. My apartment at the Pinnacle Tower stood as more than a home. It was my defiance, my sanctuary, my proof of worth. I smiled, not with triumph, but with serenity, the kind that comes from shedding chains you once mistook for love. I folded Lillian's scarf, its warmth lingering on my fingers, and turned from Ravens Point. The city awaited, its possibilities unfolding like a canvas. I was no longer the daughter who begged for scraps of affection. I was Amelia Marwood, whole and unyielding, ready for a future of my own making. As I walked down the hill, the skyline stretched before me, a constellation of dreams I'd claim on my terms, my heart, once scarred, now soared, anchored by the truth that freedom is silence chosen, not imposed. This story of Amelia Marwood resonates deeply with the struggles many face in navigating family dynamics and societal expectations. The profound lesson here is the power of self-worth when others seek to diminish you. Standing firm in your truth can lead to liberation. Amelia's journey teaches us that boundaries are not selfish but essential, empowering us to reclaim our lives from those who exploit our generosity. In a world that often demands sacrifice, her courage reminds us to prioritize our dignity, fostering resilience and hope for a future defined by our own choices. This story of Amelia Marwood resonates deeply with the struggles many face in navigating family dynamics and societal expectations. The profound lesson here is the power of self-worth when others seek to diminish you. Standing firm in your truth can lead to liberation. Amelia's journey teaches us that boundaries are not selfish but essential, empowering us to reclaim our lives from those who exploit our generosity. In a world that often demands sacrifice, her courage reminds us to prioritize our dignity, fostering resilience and hope for a future defined by our own choices.